just jumped right up there and got it. Tail walk. I think this is going to be one of them days. Buzzbait fishing, my kind of fishing.
It's called a buzzbait. With it comes spectacular strikes and heart-stopping action. In today's lesson, Larry takes us fishing with one of the most visually exciting baits there is, the buzzbait. Let's join Larry now for some of that Texas buzzbait action.
Oh, he was there, wasn't he? Right on that little point where he was supposed to be. Right on that little point. Well, are you through? Finally. Ouch. Finally. Now, he's black as an ace of spades. That fish been in shallow water all summer. Look how black that one is. Now, that's one that's been in shallow water all summer, and he has got him a suntan. He is pretty. You know, all fish are pretty. That's funny. You call all fish pretty? If you love to bass fish like I do, they're all pretty. He is pretty. Figuring out the speed of the retrieve on a buzzbait can really sometimes be very important. That's a widow feller. But he's still fun. You know, the speed of that bait is real important when buzzbait fishing, because there's times that one going real fast will attract a fish in that clear water situation. And then there's times when in cool water or real dark looking water like we have right here, this is real dark black looking water, that the slower you can retrieve it, the more time that you allow the fish to find it. So you really have to play around with speeds on a buzzbait. I've caught a lot of fish on a buzzbait in water temperatures anytime it gets up about 55 to 58 degrees, on certain lakes especially. See, here's the key now, certain lakes. Some lakes like Texas and Florida, 57 or 55 is terrible cold. But you get up in to Missouri and up in the northern parts of the United States where the fish are more acclimated to cold water, a buzzbait will catch fish up there in a lot colder water than it will in the south.
When fishing a buzzbait, the speed of your retrieve can be critical in certain situations. In clear, warm water, the retrieve can be a faster style retrieve. However, in stained or colder water, a slower retrieve will give you better results.
Oh boy, he jumped on it. Pretty. Pretty. He got it too. Quit. Quit. Ouch. Nothing prettier than to see him jump on a buzzbait. Love to see him jump up there and hit that thing. Not only that, but it's an exciting bait to fish, and it's a tremendous fish finder. Now, another key thing about a buzzbait is the way that you're working the cover that you're fishing. And if I determine that the fish are in real close, then I want to get my boat in pretty close, and that way I can parallel. So you keep your bait in the shallower longer by paralleling and staying in close to the bank. Now, if they get to hitting me out here at the end of my rod, you know, up close to the boat, then I'm going to back the boat out a little bit, and that way I don't spook a lot of fish. If you stay farther away from them, you'll catch more of them if they're out away from that cover. But anytime I'm getting my bites in tight, I'm going to get that boat in pretty close.
Determining the way fish are relating to the cover will help you in boat positioning. If the fish are in tight to shoreline cover, then move your boat close to the shoreline and parallel it with your buzzbait. However, if the fish are out away from the cover a bit, move your boat out.
What a cast. What a spot. I knew he had to be in there. That's too good of a strike zone or ambush point. Had to be a fish there. That's a pretty one. Pretty. One thing that you want to be sure to have on the lure when you're fishing a buzzbait is a trailer hook. Because a lot of times when them fish jump up there and they really bust at it, you'll miss them. But that trailer hook now, it's a pretty important part of a buzzbait, because when fish come up and hit at it, I mean, it just gives you a little more reach on them. Back when everybody started talking about long rods, using long rods for bass fishing, you know, I'd always been a short fishing pole man myself. But once I got to using one of these long rods, I've realized how much wear and tear it saves on my arm, because when I can cast with both arms. I mean, it's so much easier for me to cast after all my years of bass fishing using both hands than it is just slinging it out there with one arm. Not only that, but that long rod, it gives you, in certain situations, it gives you a little bit more leverage and a lot more distance. And one of the most important things with a lot of bass fishing is distance. And with a buzzbait, especially when the fish are out away from the cover, you know, distance is very important. You want to be able to sling that thing for a long ways, because the more water you cover with it, the more likely you are to get a bite. People just don't realize how important equipment is in bass fishing. Now, if I was in here slinging a spinner bait and I just wanting to make a little 20-foot cast, now a little 5.5-foot or 6-foot rod would be easier just to pitch around the cover with than a big long rod. But when I'm going for distance and not so much as real tight fishing, that longer rod just makes it easier for me to use.
When fishing any bait where distance is important, such as a buzzbait, spinnerbait, or crankbait, a longer rod will help you obtain that distance. You can get much more distance for the same or even less effort with a longer rod.
As soon as I got around that pocket, I caught a fish. Nothing in the back. But as soon as I got out here where a little bit deeper water bordered the bank, that's where I got the strike. Now that back end looked awful good, and it had a lot of scattered cover in it. But the fish just weren't back there this early. I see a lot of times scattered offshore cover, you know, the fish may get in it a little bit later in the day, but they just wasn't back there. I went all the way around the back of that thing, never had a fish in all that pretty cover. But as soon as I got out here where the water got just a little closer to the bank and the cover wasn't so far out away from the shore, boom, got a strike. Boy, that one jumped up there and got him. Save that for him. That's what you call an exciting strike. One of them that just nails it. Nice fish right there. That's a good fat fish. That's the kind that gets your heart to beat. Come out of the weeds. I believe I've got the lake, the fish, bottom of the ocean on that one. Boy, he was ready for that, wasn't he? I mean, now he charged out of there as soon as it hit the water. That's a good one. Kind of a little bit lean on the belly, but he's a good one. What you call a long fish. Now see the difference here in that other pocket? The big difference is this little pocket here don't have any cover in it. And the water gets up, I mean, it's fishable closer to the edge of the grass. And so far, that's been one of the biggest keys to being able to get these fish to hit a buzzbait, is being able to run the bait down shorelines. That's a classic case of jerking too soon. Well, you know, sometimes I make mistakes too. But every fish has come off places where the water got close to the bank. You know, that's why I keep telling you little details about the type of water that the fish are coming off of, because I want you to learn to pay close attention to how water and cover and shoreline relate to each other. Because all these fish today are coming off of places where I can get the bait close to the bank. And that's very important with this bait. And I got... Now that fish right there is kind of ugly. In fact, that fish is ugly. That's worse than ugly. Look how skinny that beanpole is. He's long, but he's poor. Boy, you better go eat some minnows. Yeah, that's a little more like it. Come here, big boy. Yeah, that's a little more like it. That's a good one there. That is a good one. Look out at him. There. Wasn't that all that bad? Another long, lean fish. He's a pretty one. Remember, speed of the retrieve. If I run it too fast, I don't get no bites. Boy, I'll tell you what, these fish have just quit this buzzbait. You know, they may turn on to it again later, but I haven't had a strike in an hour. Maybe longer than that. I've had all of it I can stand. I think it's time to go down. You know, you never know what really makes the fish switch. Whether it's the wind picking up or the time of day, maybe the feeding period just quit. But you don't never know that unless you pick up a different lure and try it. And these fish was in pretty close on this cover this morning, and I'm going to go down. And that has a lot to do with it, is where the bait is presented to the fish. Of a morning, they may be looking straight up. Of a little later on in the morning, now they may be down and just not coming all the way to the top to take the bait. And then again, it could have been the wind that put them down. Usually in real clear water lakes, if the water is real clear, a lot of times it takes a little bit more wind to get them to hit a buzzbait. I've caught a lot of fish in real clear water lakes on a buzzbait when the wind was blowing, and I mean the waves was 2 feet high.
After a productive morning of fishing a topwater bait, if the fish quit biting for a period of time, change baits. Fish the same type of cover, however, use a bait that has a deeper strike zone, such as a worm, spinnerbait, or other deeper working bait.
Oh, and he was too. Oh! I mean, he was right. There was a little piece of dark coon tail there. It's one of them places that I knew it had to be. Good fish. Good fish. Ain't he pretty? Now see there, folks, that's what I'm saying. To learn to be a better bass fisherman, pay close attention to detail, time of day, and how quick the fish quit hitting a specific bait. Because a lot of times it's just a matter of taking a bait to where the fish go. Come back and see me next week, and I'll make you a better bass fisherman. Thank you, Mr. Bass.